New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
Welcome to Diva Talk. Today is September 14th, 2017, and there's quite a lot to talk about. I'm going to go through a whole lot of information, and then so got a lot of information for all of you. So one of the first things I want to talk about, just a little bit of news. I want to talk about Microsoft to begin with. And Microsoft, of course, we know the current edition of their software is Windows 10. And they are releasing a new edition, their Creators Fall Edition. I don't think there's a release date yet. I'm looking at all the info up here on my screen, but it will be sometime this fall. And it's going to have, the term creators release gives you a lot of information. It's a lot of creative stuff. It's going to allow you to share your work amongst devices, meaning if you're working on a document on one laptop, you can pick up that document on a second device and continue working on it there. Apple has had that for a while, and Microsoft is now building that in, which is really kind of cool. You can what they call time travel back in time to see what you might have been working on 2 hours ago or 2 days ago. Kind of a cool feature, and it has some video updates, movie creation updates. I think a little bit of 3D updates, maybe. I think one of the features I heard about was if you've created this 3D model, you can actually take a look at it, what they call in your world, so you can kind of have a backdrop of your actual world and put your model in it. A little bit of virtual reality, I think that might be a takeoff on. A lot more virtual reality features. So, like I said, I don't know when the release date is, but I will update you all as soon as I do find out what it is. And then for those of you who didn't see the show 2 weeks ago, I talked a little bit about Microsoft and their Surface Pro, and the fact that Consumer Reports had basically said this is a not buy item. So I just kind of wanted to remind everybody of that. If you are thinking about buying a Surface Pro, think very carefully. One of the things I don't like about the Surface Pro is it's such a small screen running Windows 10. It doesn't have the effect of the iPad where it's really simple to use. So I would just, take a second look at that if you're thinking of buying it. It's a very, very spendy piece of hardware for basically a Windows 10 laptop. There's probably a lot of people out there that would argue with me on that, but that's okay. Everybody has their opinions. So the next thing I want to talk about is, it's a really, really serious issue. And I've been in my business quite a while now. I've been in the technology business for 33 years. I've had my own business for nine and a half years. Next year will be my 10th anniversary. Yeah. So I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of trends. And the biggest trend that has been concerning me for a couple of years now is computer scams. I'm seeing a lot of, not a lot, every day I get phone calls from people who were either on the phone with Microsoft and let them into their computer, or they got the dreaded pop-up on their screen saying, this is Microsoft, we have detected you have a virus on your computer and you need to call this number to have us fix it. They're all scams, and people fall for it right and left. I do jobs every day where I'm cleaning up after it. And I know I sound like a broken record. I talk about this almost on every show, but I really, really need to stress that Microsoft does not know what's going on with your computer. They have no connection to your computer. They really don't care what's going on your computer. They make the operating system and they sell it to you, and they release updates, and they try their best to give you a really good experience with the operating system. They put a lot of R&D dollars into it. And I think with Windows 10, they're doing a really, really good job. I loved Windows 7 just as much, and Windows XP. We all know how everybody loved XP. Nobody wanted to move off of it. But you need to be aware that they have a specific job, and their job is not to monitor your computer. They have no knowledge of what's going on in your computer. So I just wanted to reiterate that you never, ever respond to those pop-ups and call that number. And when they actually call you, you simply hang up. Don't even engage them in a conversation, because they're scammers calling probably from a foreign country. So I wanted to make that kind of one of the top things that I talked about tonight. So with that said, I wanted to go into the Equifax data breach and talk a little bit about that. And I actually have a blog post on my website, and I think I'm going to try and share the screen. Let me find it here. Awesome, there we go. And I'm hoping you all can see this. Kelly will text me if you can't. But anyway, Equifax, their system was breached many months ago, and they actually announced it back in July that they had been breached, the end of July. And this is really disturbing as far as I'm concerned. Equifax is supposed to be protecting your data and keeping it safe. They are one of the big three credit reporting agencies, and they have a duty to safeguard their clients' data, and we are their client. What disturbs me about this, number one, is the fact that they were breached to begin with. To me, it's totally unacceptable that a company that is safeguarding your information and stores such sensitive information, social security numbers, they have a duty to keep that protected, and they fell down on the job. And I am really, really, really disappointed in this. The other thing that really disturbs me about this is the fact that there were a lot of people at the top at Equifax who, a couple of days after they found out about the data breach, they started selling their Equifax stock. That is really disturbing. I can't even express to you how disturbing that is, and it goes back into my whole feeling about big business, big corporations, and how they are not out there to do you any favors, and they are out there to make money. And they are not safeguarding your information. They are not. They don't have a and I'm not saying all. There are a lot of corporations out there that do, but a lot of them don't have a culture in their company of caring about their customers. And the bottom line is king. And it all goes back to Wall Street and the stock market, and how profits are everything. Profits are everything, and compassion and caring for customers are really, really bottom of the list in terms of things they care about. So I just find this just so sad and disheartening in just so many ways. So I have this blog post here that kind of explains what happened, and what you need to do to protect yourself. It's really important that you protect yourself. What you need to do, number one, is Equifax is offering anybody who signs up 1 year of identity theft protection for free. Now, I did read somewhere, and I can't remember where they said that you have to sign up by the end of September. And, you know, again, they don't care about their customers. Giving us until the end of September, when the news just broke, what, last week? Big time last week. Is not enough. They're not doing enough. But you do need to at least go sign up for their identity theft protection. And I've got a link here on my website. We'll go to that link here in a moment. Claim the Equifax free year of credit monitoring and identity theft. So this data that they stole, like my blog post says, that data is going to be floating around for a long time. And so we need to protect ourselves. This is just not a short, quick term fix. You need to keep a really, really close eye on all of your banking accounts, all of your credit card accounts, all of that. You need to keep a close eye on it. Your passwords should be changed. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But passwords for all of your websites, all of your online accounts need to be changed. And they need to be strong passwords. And don't use the same password on every website. I'll get into that in a minute. Use two-factor authentication on any of these important websites, especially banking websites. In fact, I think it's almost mandatory these days to deploy two-factor authentication. This means, it basically means that every time you go to log into one of these websites, you'll receive an email or a text message with a code, and you have to type that code into the field supplied on that website. It prevents anybody from logging into your website without your knowledge. And please make sure nobody steals your cell phone. And also consider freezing your credit report. That is the surefire way to keep you protected. And every state has the means to do that. All you have to do is Google it for your state, freeze credit report, state of Washington, state of Oregon, what have you, and you can have it frozen. Now, you can unfreeze it at any time. It takes a couple of days, and some states will charge you somewhere between $10 and $15. Some states it might be free, but I think it's worth it. You know, if you're not in the process of doing any traveling or buying any big ticket items right now or applying for credit, you should freeze your credit report. So with that said, let's kind of go to this link here, and I'll show you what they've got on their website. Now, they have a rolling narrative here on what's happening day by day. So they're experiencing a high volume of requests for security freezes. They're working diligently to make sure they can get to everybody as fast as possible. So that's what happened today. Of course, recent updates over here on the right. You can read through those. Now, once you go in here, the link at the top to enroll in their complimentary program, you're going to click here. And then it's going to get started. So you're going to type in your last name, the last six digits of your social security number. Check this little box that I'm not a robot. And then the wizard will basically take you through this. Really, really important that you do this. And so I can't stress that enough. Everybody needs to be diligent about keeping their lives safe. Your online lives need to be protected. We are way beyond the time now where we can claim ignorance about our online security. And when I say that, I mean we can no longer claim ignorance that these little pop-up windows are legitimate. We can no longer claim ignorance that phone calls from Microsoft are legitimate. Everybody has means to the news, and this kind of stuff is all over the news all the time. And if you have a computer, you have access to the news. And you need to be responsible and taking care of yourself and taking care of your online presence and your online security. I am trying my best to get this news out to everybody, but I still get phone calls every single day. I've written, I don't know how many blog posts about it. I sent out email to my clients. I talk about it all the time in emails that I send out to my clients, and email blasts that I send out. So please, please, please take care of your online security. And I'm sorry to be so serious here, but this is a really, really serious issue. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing this screen. We're going to go back to our full screen here. All right. I'm assuming everything is okay with this. I don't see us live on Facebook, but that's okay. I know we're live on Facebook. I wanted to talk to you. I'm going to share the screen again. The password management. So let's get back up here. And I am going to take you over here to the Dashlane website. So Dashlane is a piece of password management software. It allows you to store your website logins and passwords. It is secure. You were given the opportunity when you first set it up to create a master password. And that master password is what you type in when the software opens. You can have it automatically open every time you boot your computer. You type in your master password. And then anytime you go to a website that has a password in it and that you've got stored in Dashlane, it will automatically log you in. It's an awesome, awesome thing. But the cool feature, or one of the cool features of Dashlane, is that it has a password changer. And it is awesome. I actually tested it out yesterday or the day before. And I went into my list of passwords and I changed a password. And basically all you have to do, let me see if we have a bigger screenshot somewhere here. No, we don't. So we'll go with the screenshot up here. So this one right here, this is the list of passwords. This is what your list will look like. Of course, you might have different websites. It will tell you the last time your password was updated, and it will tell you the safety level of your password, and it will rate them. I don't see any non-safe passwords here. I've got a couple in my list that are orange, a couple that are yellow. I even have a couple that are red. Of course, red is being the least secure password. So what you do is you can check this box up here to auto change all passwords in the list, or you can go through individually. I prefer to go through them individually, but what I did was I went to the first one in the list, and I can't remember what website it was, and I clicked on it and asked it to change the password, and what it does is it logs into your account on that website. It establishes a new secure password for you. It's something you will never remember, a combination of upper and lowercase letters, special characters, numbers, and then it comes back and it stores the new password in Dashlane, which is really awesome. It doesn't work with all websites because it has to be specifically programmed for the individual websites. But I think there's probably somewhere between 40 and 50 of my passwords that will work through this. The other thing that it does is, I'm just going to hop over here to my other screen. You can have it generate a strong password for you. So all you have to do is go into the software. You log into your web-based account, whatever the website is, and you hop over to your Dashlane software and you say, generate a strong password for me, and it generates a strong password. All you have to do is copy and paste it into the new password field in the website, and you're good to go. And then Dashlane will record that in that website. So it's pretty amazing. With this type of technology, you really don't have to worry about remembering your passwords, because on any device you use, you can put the Dashlane app. So it can go on your computer, Windows or Mac. It can go on your iPhone. It can go on your iPad. It can go on your Android device. I don't know about Windows phones. Are they even still around? But if they are, I'm sure there's an app for it. So I would strongly suggest that you invest in this type of technology as well. I think I pay maybe somewhere between 25 and 30. No, I think it's more than that. I was talking to a client about it yesterday, and I think it might have been closer to $40 a year for the account. With the free account, they limit you to how many passcodes you can create. I've got like 300 in my account. The beauty of having the account is it will sync amongst all your devices. So if I put a new password in on my Windows computer, it will automatically sync to my iPhone and my iPad, which is really comforting for me. So I know if I want to log into one of those websites on my iPad, I can do that. I really don't log into websites on my iPhone. The screen is just way too small. But I do on my iPad. I've got the iPad Pro with the larger screen, 13 point whatever inches. And it's really handy to have that for my iPad. So I strongly suggest Dashlane. 1Password is also another really good program. I have one client that I know of running on that. Most of them are running on Dashlane because I've helped them set it up. So with that said, that is Dashlane and their password changer. If you have the number of passwords that I do, the thought of changing 300 different website passwords is a little daunting. So if you can get help with 40 or 50 of them, that's awesome. Okay. We had a big Apple event this week. Good water. Big Apple event this week. It was on Tuesday morning. And I actually had set aside the time on my calendar because oftentimes I don't remember to put those events on the calendars, and I end up making appointments and then I end up missing the entire event. So this time I made a point of putting it on my calendar. It was last Tuesday morning, 10 a.m., and it usually runs about 2 hours. Well, I was on the phone and I managed to get off the phone right before it started, and I saw like the first 30 seconds. The first 30 seconds. I mean, nobody had even come on stage yet. And my phone started ringing, and I knew from the caller ID that each of these calls I had to take. They were customers that they pay me well to be responsive when they call. So I had to take those calls, and I missed the entire event. I couldn't believe it. The entire event. So I still haven't had a chance to go back and watch the event. I may do that sometime this weekend where I can carve out 2 hours and I could watch the entire event. But the good news is a lot of other people watched it and a lot of other people wrote about it. So the internet is a wealth of information. So what did they talk about? What did they announce at the Apple event? New iPhones. So this was really an interesting announcement in the fact that, okay, the current iPhone that's out now is the iPhone 7. Oops. The iPhone 7 came out last year. And so this time they announced the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus. So they totally bypassed the iPhone 7S, which would have been their normal release, and went straight for the 8 and the 8 Plus. Then they announced the iPhone 10, or it's called iPhone X, but iPhone 10, which is pretty amazing technology. And I'm sure they did this to coincide with the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, because this year is the 10th year since they actually released the first iPhone. I don't even know what number that was. I don't even know if it was iPhone 1 or did they start with iPhone 3. I don't think I got an iPhone until the 3GS. I waited a couple of years. So anyway, iPhone 8. And I've got a bunch of notes here on my screen. I'm just going to bring those up so I can give you the proper information. iPhone 8. So pretty much the same size as the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus. The interesting thing about them is, you know, the iPhone has a glass front. Well, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus will have a glass back as well. And the reason for that is to allow wireless charging. And for those of you Android users, you know that wireless charging has been around for quite a while for those devices, and Apple has not done it yet. Well, now the glass backing will lay down on the flat surface charger, and it will just charge. Now, I don't know if the charger, the flat surface charger, comes with the iPhone. I kind of doubt it. I think they're going to make you purchase that. So that's really cool. It has the same bottom design. I don't know if you could see it there, but that's the lightning port right there. It's the charging port, and it's also the headphone port. So for those of you who are worried about not being able to charge your iPhone and use your headphones at the same time, at least the wired headphones, there's this little accessory that you can buy. And so it's got a lightning port or lightning connector right here. On the other end, it's got 2 lightning ports. So you plug one end into the phone, and in one port, you can put your charger. The other port, you can put your headset. When I am sitting at my desk using my iPhone, this is always plugged into it, and it's always charging, and I've got my headset plugged into it. I don't like using a Bluetooth headset when I'm talking to clients because it just seems to not work quite as well as the wired headsets. I love my Bluetooth headset, don't get me wrong. I've got it right here, and it's all mixed up with my wired one, but I've got one of these cool Beats Bluetooth headsets. Goes around my neck. I've got my little controls here. It works great. I use this a lot in the car because I don't have one of those fancy dancy cars where you plug in the phone and everything comes out the speaker. My car is 16 years old, and so it doesn't have those kinds of bells and whistles. So I just use it in one ear, usually my right ear, so I can keep my left ear peeled towards sirens and traffic and things that are going on in the outside world. And it works out really good for me. So so that is, let's see. So the typical stuff that you're going to find in a new iPhone. It's going to have a faster processor. It's going to have a better camera. And I'm looking for my pricing information here. So the iPhone 7, that's the iPhone 7, iPhone 8. Yes, iPhone 8. So iPhone 8 has also, it's going to be a 4.7-inch screen. The 8 Plus is going to be a 5.5-inch screen, of course, glass on the front and back. The iPhone 8 will start at $699 for a 64 gig phone. And the 8 Plus will start at $799. I believe that's for 64 gigs as well. It doesn't have that information here on my screen. I'm a true believer in getting the largest size you possibly can afford. Of course, the time of 16 gig storage on phones is long gone. That's not nearly enough for anything anymore. I have a I must have a 256 gig. I do. I have a 256 gig iPhone 7. I've used 165 gigs of that, and I've got 86 gigs free. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I could clear up most of that in a heartbeat if I would clean out my pictures. I've got over 14,000 pictures on my iPhone, and I keep saying I need to go through and weed through those and clean them out. In all reality, I probably need to transfer all of them over to my computer and then wipe my phone clean. And that's probably what I'll end up doing. So that is the 8 and the 8 Plus. Now, I think they will also have the 256 gig storage capacity on both of those. In fact, I'm sure they are. I'm not quite sure what the pricing is. So forgive me on that. That was my fault for not being able to watch the presentation. But I may be doing a special recorded edition of Diva Talk in the next 2 weeks, and tell you a little bit more about features, and especially going into iOS 11, which is scheduled for release on September 19th. Today is the 14th, so 5 days from now. So in 5 days, I'll be able to update my iOS devices, and I'm going to go through and catalog what I think are the most awesome, crazy features, and then do a special recorded Diva Talk show about it. And so anyway, the iPhone 10. iPhone 10. What makes the iPhone 10 so special? Well, on the iPhone 10, it's going to have edge-to-edge displays. So if we were to open my iPhone, oop, that's kind of bright. Let's see if I can get to a not-so-bright screen. It's going to look not so bright anyway. Anyway, you kind of see the black all the way around. The display on the iPhone 10 is going to be edge-to-edge. It will have no home button. Instead of having the home button, they'll be able to, to turn the phone on. So if you want to turn it on, excuse me, you are going to be able to kind of hold it up to your face, safe selfie style, and it will have facial recognition, Face ID. And, you know, a little beam will come out and look at your face. You won't see the beam, but it'll be invisible. It'll come read your face. And if it's a face that it knows and loves, it will open up your iPhone. Now, I don't know, again, because I didn't see the presentation, if that facial recognition, if you can program it to recognize more than one face. For instance, on my iPhone, I use the fingerprint ID to open up my phone. And I've also recorded fingerprints of a couple of other people in case they pick up my phone and they need to look at it. They can. And because you can do, I don't know how many you can do. Is it 5 or 6? Might be more. At any rate, so with the fingerprint sensor, you can have more than one person be able to open your phone with the fingerprint. So I don't know if they're going to do that with Face ID. Apparently, you'll be able to now, instead of, you know, always taking your selfies sideways this way, you'll be able to do it in portrait mode, and it will display properly. I'm not that much into selfie mode, so I don't have that issue too often. And it has new portrait lighting, which apparently is supposed to be really awesome lighting. So if you're doing that selfie or you're doing portrait pictures, it will give you really, really special lighting. And it says here, enhance light effects on the face, enhances light effects on the face. So a much better way to recognize faces and light them for portraits. Let's see, iOS 11, I'll get into that in a few minutes. It will have wireless charging, 5.8-inch Super Retina display. We're talking about the iPhone 10 now. Supports HDR and Dolby Vision and HDR10 and True Tone. So that sounds like good stuff. And if I recall when I was talking earlier about the iPhone 8, let's go back down here to the iPhone 8. It is a 5.5 inch. So the iPhone 10 is a 5.7 inch. I'm sorry, 5.8 inch. It will come in sizes of 64 gig and 256 gigs. The 64 gig has a starting price of $999. Ridiculously expensive. I don't see myself buying one of these. Let's see, the 256 gig, $1,149. They are not being released at the same time as the iPhone 8, which pre-orders go into effect tomorrow or tonight at midnight. I went to the Apple website about an hour ago, and it was down for refreshing. So, so they're getting it ready, and they're putting all the new products up there, which is pretty cool. So iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, pre-order tomorrow, and they will be shipping, I believe, a week from tomorrow. The iPhone 10 pre-orders go into effect October 27th, and they ship on November 3rd for arrival, I'm assuming, at your front door on November 3rd. Pretty awesome. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say right now about the iPhone. I will have a whole lot more to say, like I said, in my next segment. Apple Watch. I have an Apple Watch. This is the Apple Watch 2nd edition. You see the Earth there? So I have the Apple Watch 2nd edition. The 3rd edition will go out for pre-order tomorrow. And again, will be shipping on 9/22 for arrival on 9/22, as far as I know. At any rate, the one thing that makes the Apple Watch 3 stand out from the Apple Watch 2 is the fact that it has its own LTE technology inside. And what that means is you can actually place a call with your Apple Watch without having to have your Apple phone in the room. That's really kind of a big deal. The way the Apple Watch 2 works is, I'll give you a really good example of this. I've only had mine a couple of months. I think I got it in July. And one of my favorite features, or my favorite apps, is my golf GPS. So I'm out on the golf course. I drive the ball. I go up to where it's landed in the fairway, hopefully. And I open up the app on my Apple Watch, and it will tell me how many yards it is from my ball to the green, where the hole is. But it's reading the yardage from the location of my iPhone. So I've learned that when I'm golfing, I keep my iPhone in my pocket so that my yardage is correct. I don't leave it in my golf bag, which typically is near me, or if I'm using a golf cart, I don't leave it in the cart because that could be 10 or 20 yards away from where my ball is. So I've learned to keep this in my pocket, and thankfully I have the iPhone 7, not the 7 Plus, and it fits in my pocket. So, but with the new Apple Watch, you don't have that because it's got its own LTE chip in the watch, its own cellular chip, and you don't have to have your phone with you when you're doing that type of GPS work with it. So I think that's the really only big difference between the 2 and the 3. I don't think there's any other features that really make it stand apart. So it's kind of a small incremental upgrade. And as far as I'm concerned, I've got the 2. I don't need the 3. The watches are spendy. I think this one will start at $329 without the LTE, and I think it's $379 or $399 with the LTE chip. So they'll have both models. Just like the iPad. The iPad has both models of that, with or without the cellular connection. What else? Oh, Apple TV 4K. Apparently that's a big deal. I actually have, I think, the 2nd generation of the Apple TV. It's sitting on my desk behind me, and I use it with that TV that's mounted on the wall. I don't use it that often. I'm not a big TV watcher. I have a TV downstairs. I rarely watch it. It's on all the time because Mom watches it, but I don't watch a whole lot. If there's something I want to watch, I'll watch on my iPad. So the TV 4K, I'm sure, has a lot of really, really good features, and it's really handy for those people who have other Apple devices and you have a lot of content in iTunes that you want to now stream through to your TV. So I think that is really, really the big draw. Let me see here. I've got a page here on the Apple TV 4K. I'll give you a few details here. Of course, 4K because you can watch 4K videos with high dynamic range, HDR. Let's see. What's the price here? I'm trying to find the price. Oh, here we go. So you can pre-order those starting tomorrow, along with the iPhone and the Apple Watch. And it's going to have 32 gigabytes of internal storage, and it's going to cost you $179. If you want 64 gigs of internal storage, $199. You can still get the earlier version, I think the 4th version, which is the 1080p Apple TV with 32 gigs of storage, but it's $149. So you're better off to spend the few extra dollars and get the Apple TV 4K 5th generation. So that's what I have to say about Apple TV. So the other thing that is will benefit all of us who have current iOS devices is the fact that iOS 11 is being released. I have the release date here, September 19th. It's 5 days from now. I think I mentioned that earlier in the show. So iOS 11, it's always fun to anticipate the latest versions of iOS because they usually have some pretty cool new features. They don't give you a time for when the update is going to go out. They usually start sending it out, though, about 10 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't update right away, at least not at 10 o'clock in the morning. The networks are going to be very, very busy. I would probably wait until that evening when I'm relaxing and I just have some time to be patient with it. You probably don't want to update your devices unless you are okay with change. If you don't like change, don't update your device, and maybe wait a while. Now, there's always going to be bugs in the initial releases, and the releases have been tested heavily. They've been in beta testing. Anybody can beta test by just downloading the software and installing it. But you only want to do that if you have an appetite for change and you really want to make a difference and help Apple with giving them feedback on the features. So it goes through some pretty rigorous testing. I know a lot of people who do beta testing, and they have the time for it. I don't. I've never beta tested any version of iOS. I've never beta tested any version. No, wait, I did beta test a version of Windows once. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago. So I did do that on a secondary laptop, not on my main laptop that I use to run my business. So anyway, I'm rambling on and on. iOS 11 out on the 19th around 10 a.m. So what are some of the exciting new features? Now, this is probably where I will spend a lot of time in my pre-recorded video that I'll be doing after it's been released. And I'll actually be able to connect you to my iPhone and iPad screens and show those screens and do a really nice demonstration. But there's a whole new design control center. Apparently it's not split into different screens, because right now you swipe up from the bottom of the phone, you go to the control center, and it is split into 2 different screens. Apparently it's much different, and it's not split in screens. I think maybe it takes up more real estate on the phone. But that's something to look forward to. And you apparently are able to program it a whole lot more and put more info in it. So that's going to be kind of cool. Siri, of course, is going to have improvements. They say here that Siri will sound more natural and be a little smarter. So my experience with Siri has never been all that great. I don't use her a whole lot. Mainly, I would try and use her in the car, but Siri doesn't understand me. And I asked Siri to do something, and yeah, it's like Greek. So I usually get a result that's way different from what I'm actually expecting. So I'm looking forward to seeing if she's gotten smarter. And, you know, a lot of that is on me. I haven't taken a whole lot of time to really sit down and get to know Siri and forge a good working relationship with Siri. So one of these days I will do that. There's a new feature for screenshots and screen recording. I'm not sure how deep that goes. I like the screen recording idea. Especially for me to be able to hopefully create little tutorials on how things work. You can do it right in the screen recording module and, you know, and splice it into your videos. It's really kind of cool. So the other thing they're talking about is drag and drop from app to app. I'm really dying to see this in action. So this weekend, once I watch the presentation that I missed, I will know a little bit more about that. Apparently a lot of improvements to notes. They're going to be a whole lot more useful. Not sure what that means, but I use notes a lot, so I'm looking forward to that. They're going to make it easier for you to remove stuff from your phone and free up storage. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, it's I guess it's dependent on the apps. I've never had a problem freeing up storage, but then I have a lot of storage on my phone and my iPad. I think my iPad is either 128 or 256. I don't remember. But I've you know, with these newer models, I don't have an issue with storage. Apple Pay payments, they say Venmo style Apple Pay payments. It's basically paying money to your friends and family. Just a really easy way to do that, which is just so awesome because, you know, we all are in situations where, you know, maybe we go out for dinner and maybe one person pays the bill. And so then we all have to pony up for our share. This makes it easy to just, you know, take your phone out of your pocket and say, hey, Joe, here's the $30 I owe you for dinner. And boom, it's now on Joe's phone and in Joe's account. So that's really, really awesome. There's a little note here that says there's a hidden dark mode. A hidden dark mode. I don't know what that's all about. Looking forward to hearing about that. Once I find out what it is and I get iOS 11, I will make that part of my little tutorial video. Do not disturb for driving. Awesome, awesome feature. I've talked about that on this show before. I think after they announced iOS 11 back in June, basically it allows you to put your phone easily in do not disturb mode while you're driving. In fact, I think the phone senses that you're driving. It knows that you're in the car and you're hurtling down the freeway, and it will automatically shut off all incoming phone calls, text messages, notifications, everything, which is really, really awesome. And it apparently is getting a file management system. So I look forward to diving into that. Download iOS 11. It's the way you download any update on your device. You just go into settings and then general and then into the update area, and you can download it right from there. So that's pretty simple to do. I think that's it for iOS 11. So that's iOS 11. We talked about Apple TV. So we're kind of wrapping up here. It's 7:48, so I've been chatting almost an hour. I didn't think I had enough material for an hour, but I did ramble on and on. So there will be no Diva Talk 2 weeks from tonight on September 28th because I will be on vacation. I am going to a golf resort, and I am going to golf for 3 days. and really looking forward to that. On September 22nd, the company that produces this little radio program for me is hosting a 24-hour portal of peace. So is it the 22nd or the 21st? Let me get up my calendar here. I believe it's the 21st. I'm sorry, the 21st. It's the International Day of Peace. They will be hosting and broadcasting a live 24-hour portal of peace. And this is basically where people will be, they'll get a little chunk of time and they'll be able to talk about peace and do a little presentation on peace. Whatever it is that they want to do. It could be, it could be music, it could be reading, spoken word, there could be PowerPoint presentations, who knows, but everybody who is participating gets to choose what they want to do for their block of time. And then when their block of time is over, there will be a ceremonial passing on to the next presenter. And you, as the audience, can tune in anytime you want. You can watch a half-hour segment, you can watch an hour segment, 5 hours later, you can tune in and watch some more. It's going to be extremely, extremely special. And I will be doing 2 segments. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. So with that said, I also want to say thank you to Kelly Lair, who is producing this show. She is the technological brains at News 72 Media, and she produces all their internet-based radio shows, of which there are several. You can go to news72media.com and take a look at all the various shows that they are producing. You can take a look at all the various books that they are publishing. They not only do they produce these radio shows, they publish books, they produce websites. They are a full-service media company. So news72media.com. So thank you very much, Kelly, for being the brains behind the scenes and for making sure everything goes smooth. So I will let you all know when I will be producing that special video. Chances are it will be finished and we will have Kelly post it the evening of the 28th. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing. So thank you for watching. Thank you for participating and offering me support and listening to me. And I will chat you all soon. Bye.